And welcome once again to the Shadow Gallery. I am, as always, your host, James Donnelly, and welcome to a special single book review from this week's New Comics, bitches! So, and I promised this in my review video. If you haven't watched the review video already, please do. It's relatively short. Comparatively short, I should say. But this, we will be concentrating strictly on talking about Batman Earth 1, which is the new graphic novel, full-length graphic novel by Geoff Johns and Gary Frank. Gary Frank, I wasn't that familiar with. I looked him up and saw that he did work on Planet Hulk. He did some Avengers work. He did a lot of Action Comics work. I think when Paul Cornell was writing. But this is supposed to be like the big, like Superman, Earth 1. J. Michael Straczynski did. Which is a really interesting take on the character. I actually really enjoyed that. It's probably the first Straczynski work that I really enjoyed, and thought was really smart. So they finally kind of lived up to that smarts level that everybody kept talking about that he could do. And so I did not buy this. I read it because when I was at my LCS. They said, you have 10 minutes because I want you to sit down and read this. I want you to sit down and read Batman Earth 1. And I had read a review on comicbookresources.com of it, gave it like 3.5 out of 5 stars. And now if you ever go to comicbookresources.com, their reviews are like, it's like 4 paragraphs, 4 very short paragraphs where it talks about, okay, here's kind of the story, here's some things I liked about it, here's how the art was and the writing, and they're all very, and it talks about the colors and talks about the lettering, and it's very precise in regards to how much it doesn't give away. So they're respectful, but they're very short and they're pretty boring. So which is why I try to liven mine up by being here talking to you and not just writing the shit down. I do tend to write a more concise review. Those of you who do follow me on Tumblr or do have read my reviews on Tumblr have seen that. Well, let me just put it this way. Their review, Comic Book Resources review of Batman Earth 1, giving it a 3.5 out of 5 stars, was extremely generous. So basically what we have here, it's I don't understand why they just don't fucking call them Elseworlds anymore, because that's what this is. It's just a fucking Elseworlds story. And, I mean, my man that I'm proud to call friend, Brian Augustyn, is one of the guys that basically coined the idea of the Elseworlds titles over at DC back in the 90s. Or even back, maybe, no, not quite not the late 80s. No, this was definitely in the 90s. With, like, books like Gotham by Gaslight, which my friend Brian Augustyn wrote. And basically what we have here is that it's a different Batman world. Basically what we have here is that, Batman starting out, he's starting out, we see him, he's chasing down a criminal, and he's got this, it had a really promising opening, because the art by Gary Frank is actually pretty darn good. He's running, and he doesn't have the white slits. You can see his eyes, and he's running. He's got his utility belt. He's got the kind of the old, the old blue and gray on, and the bat emblem here as opposed to the circle, the gold circle with the bat in it, and he's got like a grappling gun, and it's malfunctioning. And so he's trying to catch this criminal, and he leaps and he falls, drops. Then we flash back to the beginning, and it is Thomas and Martha Wayne. Thomas is running for mayor of Gotham City, and the incumbent mayor, he knows he's made an enemy from the incumbent mayor, who's apparently a very corrupt politician. And there've been, and this is why he's enlisted the help of his old friend Alfred Pennyworth, because they've already got servants and butlers and everything like that. But Alfred comes in because apparently they were soldiers together, and Alfred is former SAS. He walks with a limp. He's got a cane, and basically, and his wife, and Martha, I should say Martha, Thomas and Martha Wayne, they're really into this whole campaign and everything like that. And there is, of course, they have, this night that Alfred arrives, he's basically, being told that, you need to, by Thomas, you need to protect and help, you need to kind of watch my back. And, of course, that night, as Bruce has been, really talking about for a long time, they're going to the movies. And this is kind of a regular thing for them. And, of course, the power to the movie theater is cut. Bruce wants to run out, Bruce runs out one of the, exit doors into an alley so that he can try and find another theater that is showing this movie that he wants to see really bad. And, of course, Thomas and Martha gunned down. So Bruce apparently has dedicated his life to hunting down and stopping whoever killed his parents. Still a big mystery. And then we also have the introduction of Jim Gordon and the introduction of Harvey Bullock. Now, Harvey Bullock, as we've seen him in the comic books, he's a big, fat, stogie-sucking, kind of booze hound slob. But in this version, he is a very clean-cut, very handsome reality TV cop. And he's come to Gotham because, it's going to be good for the ratings for his show. And he's partnered up with Jim Gordon. Of course, the flip side here is that Jim Gordon is corrupt. He's overlooking some obvious criminal activity. And Harvey Bullock is not. He is wondering what the hell is going on with Gordon. So there's that, and then we have, basically I'm just going to talk about the myriad of problems that I have with this book. Is the mayor being Oswald Cobblepot. I hated that idea. It was like, basically what this to me was like Geoff Johns had watched like all of the Batman films, like even the pre-Nolan Batman films. Like he watched a lot of Batman Begins, and he watched some other stuff here and there, and took some bits and pieces from these different characters that he saw in these movies, like Lucius Fox. He's basically he's like a teenager. He almost looks like the kid out of the Boondocks. And he works in the hospital, and he's coming up with all these inventions and stuff like that. And of course, he's the guy that Bruce goes to help him improve his grappling gun, some of his tech. But here we get a vague idea of why Bruce becomes Batman. there is some sort of confrontation with bats, and that Bruce is afraid of bats, but Alfred, he's like, well, who the hell is going to be afraid of bats? Why do you think this is going to work? And there's this big fight scene between Bruce and Alfred, and it's like, wait, what? What the fuck what is going on here? And and then we have like our big villain of the piece here, besides Oswald Cobblepot, is this like serial killer, and we keep thinking that it's going to be somebody, and we have glimpses of the Dents. We have Harvey and Rebecca Dent, and we see the real reason that Jim Gordon is overlooking some crimes because he's trying to protect his daughter Barbara, who is she's a very diligent student and everything like that, and so this all comes down to kind of who's going to end up helping who, and how is this really going to not tie in, but how is it going to reflect? How is it going to be kind of a mirror image, or develop into a mirror image of what ultimately, the everything that's kind of, that's determined, that we know, okay, well, these are going to be Batman's allies, and these are going to be Batman's villains. This is obviously one of the things that I really didn't like about this, is that it's so obviously setting up for a sequel. Like, from the moment that I saw young Barbara, I knew that by the end of the book she was going to be drawing her own Batgirl getup, or she was going to be dressing up as one. I just fucking knew it. And lo and behold, boom, there it is. And so I mean that, and there's no discussion about how Bruce trained to become Batman. Did he train? Did he just work out a lot and think that that was going to be it, or what? Because there's no indication of study. There's no indication of his real passion and commitment to becoming Batman. And that is, to me, the biggest offense that that Geoff Johns committed here, is that he has no real sense of who Batman is. This is obviously, it's one of those pet projects that it's like, well, let's give it to Geoff because he's the fucking, he's like the CEO anyway, so he can do whatever the hell he wants, and nobody will say boo. And it's ridiculous. I mean, the whole plot, this whole separate plot of the serial killer, we're thinking that, okay, well, this is going to be somebody from the existing universe, and it ends up being, I'm not going to give it away, but it's just, I mean, there's so many missed opportunities in this book, because they could have taken it farther. I mean, because we had some of this kind of in Batman Night of Vengeance, the Flashpoint spinoff, which was the only good thing to come out of Flashpoint, in my opinion, other than Project Superman. This is really, I think, where somebody like Scott Snyder would have been a really good person to use for this, because he probably had a lot of more interesting ideas, but I'm not going to speculate about that. I'm just going to talk about what's there. And what's there is shit. Aside from some nice illustrations by Gary Frank, this is, again, Geoff Johns just, it's like he's just pulling shit out of a hat. And, he's not even anywhere near the line that he should be on towards this kind of book. He created this specifically as like, this is going to have a sequel. It is set in stone. This is going to be so successful and so popular that it's going to have a sequel. Well, I don't know what the sales figures on this are going to be, but according to the kind of some of the other bad mouthing that I've heard and seen around the internet, and from especially people in my LCS, this should not be successful. Hopefully it will not be successful. and hopefully no one will demand a sequel, because this is a book that never should have existed. So this is, at best, a 1 out of 5 stars for me for Batman Earth 1. It's just fucking sad. It really is. So, but that's it for this special New Comics Bitches single issue, single book review for, well, probably for a while. We'll be talking later on this week. I will be doing another vlog and my discussion of the next film, the second film in Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, The Dark Knight. So you want to look out for that one when it comes, and that'll be this Thursday, more than likely. So, as I say to you, thank you for watching. If you haven't watched the review vlog already, please do that. If you have, thanks for watching that. Thanks for watching this. If you're new, hey, subscribe. If you're not new, thanks for coming back. Thumb it up, thumb it down. Tell me what you think about this if you have read it. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this. And so this is it. So again, thank you again for coming to the Shadow Gallery. I am, as always, your host, James Donnelly, reminding you to stay in the shadows.